Hello everyone, Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. I wanted to look at the Parnas interview on Rachel Maddow. As you know, a few days before that story broke, I could see him in the cards. So I wasn't surprised that this was one of the bombshells that is coming forward. There's likely to be more. That's the bottom line. There's likely to be more. But let's just look at the Parnas for the moment. I want to look at how voters generally, what's been the reaction generally to the Parnas interview. Actually, I was quite gobsmacked, if you can still be gobsmacked when it comes to Trump and everybody around him, his enablers. It's quite clear to see that the Republicans are aiding and abetting this president. They're in on it. And of course, Parnas has said that William Barr was in the loop, the Attorney General, oversighting the SDNY investigation into Parnas and Fruman. So, there will be calls for Barr to be recused from that investigation. The New York Bar Association has already called for him to step down. We also have Devin Nunes. Now, as you know, he chaired from the Republicans' case in the House, the impeachment of Donald Trump, all the while being party to what had actually occurred. The other bombshell breaking now is that the government watchdog has actually come out and said that Trump, in withholding that Ukrainian funding, has broken the law. So it's illegal to do what he's done. It's not just naive. It's not just inexperience. It's not just a perfect call. It's actually illegal, and that presents things with through another lens, doesn't it? If something is illegal, it's illegal. I also want to go to the last point that I felt, the last couple of points that I felt very damning and very worrying as well. Well, first of all, Mike Pence apparently was in the loop, the Vice President. Are we going to see a House investigation into his role in all of this? And finally, the most worrying thing of all, another player in this whole schmozzle, this whole illegal activity, was Republican congressional candidate Robert Hyde, who was actually, as we see texts show, he was surveilling Ambassador Yovanovitch. I want to know, was she actually really in any danger? She was pulled out of Ukraine she received a 1 a.m. phone call, and she was pulled out of Ukraine the next morning. It would appear that her life was in danger. And of course, Ukraine has now announced an investigation into that. The FBI have paid Robert Hyde a visit. Really, this would appear to be the deck of cards that are currently falling. You would think this would be enough to oust this president and to hold all his enablers accountable. But is it? Is that going to happen? Now, pardon me, I'm not surprised that the revelations are coming forward thick and fast in January. We have the Saturn-Pluto conjunction and Uranus direct. So it's all really taking my breath away. I don't know if it's taking your breath away, but it's certainly taking mine away. The extent of the corruption. It's like watching an episode of The Godfather, basically. All right, so how are the voters reacting after Parnas, the Parnas interview, the Parnas documents, texts, emails that he handed over to the Congress? Will they all be brought before the Senate? Let's see. But how are voters generally reacting to the Parnas interview, or to the revelations that Parnas is bringing forward? How are voters generally across both sides of the aisle, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, how are people reacting to this? How are people reacting to this? Think a bit like me. All right, so we have the Wheel of Fortune. This is destiny. This is things moving in a different way to what they have been moving. Is that taking a turn for the worse, or is that taking a turn for the better? We have challenged by hope, the star of hope. So I feel that destiny is at play here. And it's being driven forward. Things are changing because of the intentions that people had uppermost in their mind. It was quite a simple intention that we don't want our leaders to behave in the way that Donald Trump has behaved. We don't want these what appears to be mobster type of tactics. We also want full and utter disclosure. It's not such a big leap now to understand that he may, of course, Russia has hacked Burisma, the gas company that Hunter Biden sat briefly on their board. And Burisma, of course, is a competitor to the Russian gas sales as well. So let's not forget that this is not just about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. This is also about Russia's gas and oil reserves. Okay, so let's have a look. The Ace of Wands, they're wanting. There is a fair amount of will, inspiration, motivation. I'm just seeing this as a big stick. Okay, so it's almost like how did voters react? I'm getting the word indignation. It's almost like akin to outrage. And so it's like they're wanting to take a big stick to these people. It's fairly blatant, isn't it? It is like watching an episode of The Godfather, complete with the mafia, the mobsters. Parnas, unfortunately, is a little, well, I'm going to say unfortunately. We'll also ask, is he in any danger? Because his reasoning for coming out in the way that he has was to ensure his safety, that if everything got out there and he was assassinated or taken out in any way, then of course the finger gets pointed to Russia and to Trump. But yeah, look, he's no different to Michael Cohen. He was the fall guy. He wasn't going to take it. He was going to do something about it, and he was going to spill the beans. Basically, that's what he's done. And there's a big stick. Voters are wanting to take a big stick to this president, I feel. At the same time, you've got the sweeteners coming out, the trade deal with Mexico and Canada being pushed through and signed. You're having the first stage of a trade deal with China. You'll get more of these sweeteners announced as Trump tries to present the economy as his strength. You cannot get rid of me because the economy is so strong. Now, in the past, we've got the Six of Pentacles. I feel, again, that people are going to want to demand his tax returns now. It's almost a matter of urgency. Interesting, you have Justice Roberts presiding over the impeachment trial in the Senate, and you have those tax returns, Deutsche Bank records, etc., loans going before the Supreme Court around March, having to rule by, I think it is June. So people in the past are questioning now. Well, not questioning. They're more convinced about the link between Trump and Russia and Trump being financed by Russia. Okay, let's see what's crowning the reading. Okay, so it's again all about the money. This is where people's thoughts are, and they're wanting to see that now. They're wanting full and utter disclosure. And so, if the will of the people are to be heard, they want to see Trump's books. No more obstruction, no more hiding. They want to see all the evidence, including the emails, the State Department documents, any communications regarding Ukraine as well. They're wanting to see all of that. I'm feeling a sense of outrage, a building, and it's building, and it's going to build over the next few weeks as well. There's going to be calls for Parnas's emails and text messages to come before the Senate trial. We'll ask, will they? All right. Now, also, I'm feeling, and I'll get this out of the way now, but I will, if I have got time, I will read on it. I feel the House will launch an investigation into Pence's role in all of this. Okay, so emotion overflowing. There's two aces here. They're calling for new starts. They want the slate wiped clean. They don't want any more of this. People are tired of it. Basically, they're starting to put the barriers up between the Trump administration and their vote. Basically, they've switched right off, and they want an ending. We've got the death card. They want an ending. They want an ending to this. Okay, so this really is. I mean, there's been many straws that have broken the camel's back, but this is beyond even that. This is really no more. People are drawing the line in the sand, no more. Okay, so the senators better be all over that, because that's the way people are feeling. Hopes and the fears. The fear is that the Republicans will again do what they've done for this president who runs his presidency more like a mobster might run his territory. People are fearful that again the GOP will run the cover and try and cover up for this president. We've got juggling. We've got manipulation. This is around those finances as well. We're going to hear more about that. That's going to be investigated further because of the government watchdogs finding that Trump broke the law. That could be a salient point in the Senate trial. Okay, yep, we've got the taking action on that. Because of the illegality of that, it has to almost come up before the Senate. I wonder how Mitch McConnell is feeling right now. Base of the pack, we have the dirty trickster in the magician. We've got the secrets here in the high priestess, trying to cover things up. This has been, again, I go back to Saturn-Pluto conjunction and Uranus direct. This has been, I've rarely seen it before. The cover-ups almost are so transparent, and that's what's unfolding at the moment. We are actually seeing that, and they are being stopped in their tracks. We have the moon card. The shadow side of things is very visible this month, and we have the Hierophant coming forward, a higher power judging this, and we've got abuse of power, and finally we have the Four of Wands, a celebration. I feel that as I've always felt, that this president will lose the support of the GOP. That there will be a delegation that will go to him and say, we're actually going to find. Either we're going to find that the impeachment articles or the indictment proven, and we will be removing you from office. We want to spare you that, so you might like to resign now rather than be actually forcefully removed, or he will actually be impeached. I do feel there's a good chance of being impeached. Now, yes, I have been correct on my strike rate is pretty healthy, pretty strong in my predictions, but I'm not always right. So I'm not I'm not an oracle. I'm not I'm not superhuman. Some of my I'm pleased. I'm happy that some of my predictions are right. But I'm also not going to crow about that or get carried away with that, because I think as soon as you let the ego intrude, then you lose whatever innocent connection you might have that actually allows the truth to be channeled through you. So I hope I'm right about Trump being removed from office one way or another. When I say removed, either he steps down or he's impeached, one of the two. All right, so let's have a look at how are the senators reacting, because we're at 15 minutes now. How are the senators reacting? How are the senators in the Senate, obviously? How are the senators reacting to the Parnas disclosure? The government watchdog finding it's illegal to do what Trump did, regardless, no questions, no excuses. It's point blank illegal. How are the senators and the Parnas disclosures? They're worried, I feel, particularly around Ambassador Yovanovitch, what has happened to her. They're very worried that this president might be capable, and they don't know. They know that he's capable of a lot of things. They've been there aiding and abetting, but is he capable of strong-arming someone in the way that Ambassador Yovanovitch has been strong-armed and apparently threatened? That's where they're wondering that this president would not be condoned. They're worried. They're worried about what he is capable of doing. Okay. All right, so let's have a look. Let's have a look. How are those senators reacting after the Parnas disclosures and the government watchdog? They might just use this as an excuse to get rid of him. All right, so the Sun. We've got total transparency and illumination as the signifier card. Challenged by. Okay, so their futures are challenged by the downfall of this president. Okay, so they're afraid he will drag them down. This is also Trump, reading in layers. Trump's bright whatever he had in mind to do in the next few years is being challenged potentially by those senators who might just, the Ides of March, they might just stab this man in the back and withdraw their support. Okay, so we've got the voters being the foundation of the reading. This is what the senators are worried about. They're worried about their own ability to be re-elected, their own futures. Okay, so we have in the past the Nine of Pentacles. I do feel this is where some of those GOP was sitting, and particularly Trump's allies. He has a way of drawing people around him and into this inner circle, and they do his bidding, and they potentially break the law for him, and then he disowns them. Well, Parnas was not going to take that. So we have, crowning this reading, we have the Six of Pentacles. This comes back to his loans and debts. Now, this is and the Deutsche Bank and his tax returns. This is a really significant point, because if they find that this president shouldn't be removed from office, even though he broke the law, even though we have him front and centre at breaking the law according to this government watchdog, even though we have him associated with dubious characters, even though we have the completely unethical, and I don't know if it is illegal, behaviour from people like Devin Nunes, the Attorney General in the loop with an illegal scheme. Even though we have all of that, we have the worry about his tax returns. Worry about if they can get around all those obstacles, and then it's shown later on that it's proven. I won't say shown. It's proven that that the Russians bankrolled his business. Then where are those senators going to be at the next election? That's what they're worried about. So we've got new starts here in the immediate future. The Ace of Pentacles can be new sources of income. It can also be Trump getting those senators in his pocket through bankrolling their campaigns, etc., giving them help and support to be re-elected. But I also see another aspect of this Ace of Pentacles. I actually see that those senators are wanting new starts as well. Juggling. They're certainly juggling, one foot in the air, and they're trying to hold these balls in the air because it's getting very, very dicey. Making choices. They're not clear right at this moment. They're not clear about what they should do. it's almost like they know that that the earthquake's going to bring down the roof on them, but the earthquake hasn't happened quite yet, and so they're still hedging their bets. The hopes and fears, we've got the Nine of Cups. This is the more coming out around Trump's business and his connections. They have a choice to make. They have a choice to make. What will that choice be? They have to defend whatever choice they do make, and we have loss. Okay, we have loss, betrayal, heartache. Whichever way they go, they're going to lose. All right, so let's have a look. They could make a compromise in some way. Let's have a look at this. It's funny that the eight of Cups fell out, which is my card for him walking away. Let's have a look at this. The compromise could be that they go to him and say, resign now, step down. So let's have a look at this Two of Swords. Two of Swords. Show me the Two of Swords. Show me the Two of Swords. Okay. All right, so we've got a win here for the Democrats. We've got an offer, a disappointment, but an offer being made. And we've got the King of Wands, the lawmakers themselves, and we've got Russia. Okay, so it is Russia that I think they might take action. They might actually, well, I won't say give Trump a trial, but there could be that they are forced now to hold a proper trial. Okay, let's see if that Parnas information is going to be allowed in the Senate. Will the Parnas information, texts, emails, are they going to allow that as evidence in the Senate? Will they allow that as evidence in the Senate? Will they allow the Parnas information in the Senate trial? Will they be forced to allow it? Okay, so don't underestimate them. But this is a yes here. This is victory, but it's also victory, them playing for victory, because that's what I felt as I was shuffling the cards. That think back to Kavanaugh. While it won't be a rerun of Kavanaugh, you're going to see some of those antics. So, but they're challenged by loss here. There is a challenge both ways, to the Democrats getting the truth out, to the Republicans trying to hide the truth. There is a challenge. They're going to try and muddy the waters here, but this is also them making choices. What choices will they make? We do have big money in politics, the donor base. We have the Trump Organization, everything you associate with the way the Republicans have conducted themselves, both in state legislatures and in federal government now in Washington, how they've conducted themselves. Now we have wish fulfillment crowning this reading, but it's a yes card as well, another yes card, but it's also the smug merchant. So we've got them trying to hang on to as much information as they can. Right now, though, they're reviewing their position. They're having to give ground. They can't just dismiss these charges. Now we've got the Hermit, because of the ongoing investigations that are occurring and the bombshell information that's coming out, they're having to reassess things. They're going to put obstacles and challenges in the way at every turn in this trial. Don't expect anything otherwise. But we do have loss here. And the loss, of course, comes from Trump. So the Hierophant, clarified by the Hierophant, it's going to be hard for them to hold back that evidence. We have the King of Cups. Energy moving through. I think Schiff and his team, Nadler, they're going to try and introduce this evidence. This is where I felt that bombshell was coming last week, and we've got Judgment. Okay, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to hold back that evidence. I've got a couple of yes cards here, so I'm feeling that they almost will be forced to introduce those into the trial. Show me this Five of Cups. Is this loss for Trump? Show me this Five of Cups. Is this loss for Trump? Okay, we've got the Nine of Pentacles, losing one's freedom and independence. We have the voters there, and we have the Queen of Wands. I feel that it is. That they're going to, the Republicans aren't going to have it all their own way. If they do try and sham this trial, hold a sham trial, they will be judged. There's now this illegality aspect to it now, and there's no getting away from that. All right, so where are we at? 25 minutes. I'm going to just ask if Ambassador Yovanovitch was in any danger. Parnas is saying no, Robert Hyde is a loose cannon, and no, he was never in any danger. However, he would say that, wouldn't he? And then I might shut down this reading and do another reading on Nunes, Barr, and Pence. Okay, so let's have a look at Ambassador Yovanovitch. Well, I'm feeling, sometimes when I start to shuffle cards, I feel something fairly strongly, and I'm feeling she was in danger. Was Ambassador Yovanovitch in any danger? And it might not have been that there was a direct order from Trump to assassinate this woman. It might not be that, but certainly the conditions surrounding that, having that loose cannon Robert Hyde there, it could have been that they were going to threaten her. What I think the pertinent question is, were they surveilling her? Were Trump and his aiders and abettors via Russia, via Ukrainian nefarious means, via Hyde, Parnas, etc., were they surveilling? Were they surveilling this ambassador? Yes, they were. Okay. Three of Wands. Here we go. In order to bring forward their plan, she was in the way. The Five of Wands, obstacles, challenges, this partisanship, factionalism, fighting, etc. She was in the way. They viewed her through the same lens that they view Obama. It's a twisted thing. The foundation of the reading, the Six of Pentacles, they wanted to move her out. So that's why I think the surveillance started. I feel it started so they could get dirt on her to get rid of her. The Seven of Cups, they were throwing up this illusion. Now, Hyde was a loose cannon. So my cards are saying that they, according to my tarot cards, they were surveilling her. They were surveilling her to get dirt on her. Were they aided and abetted by the Russians? The Two of Wands, this was the plan that was put in place perhaps months ago. And the world, yes. I think, this truth, I'm getting a feeling that this truth might eventually come out. Endings and beginnings. They wanted the end, they wanted her out so that they could put their own person in that was more sympathetic. We have Trump. Trump was there. He was sanctioning, he knew about this, and hence his words to the Ukrainian president, this ambassador. I think a lot's going to happen to her, or some words like that. Okay, they were surveilling and hoping for dirt. He's very anxious about this particular matter. Very anxious, high anxiety. Hopes and fears. He's fearing that more evidence will come out around this. It's Russia. It was Russia who was helping do the surveillance. That's what my cards are showing. We've got temperance now. We've got balance, bringing in a balance to this. It's almost like pouring water on the fire now to put this fire out. And the Five of Pentacles, loss. Okay, being left out in the cold. I feel this is we're talking. I'm feeling the energy of Jovanovic. The Two of Swords, decisions, compromise, being compromised. The Three of Pentacles, more than one person involved in this. So this could be those nefarious forces within. Remember, Manafort operated in the Ukraine to advance Russian interests. There is more than one person involved in this. This is, to me, this is saying Ukraine, Russia, and Trump, or forces that are loyal to those people. And we've got judgment. I want to see, just quickly before I close this reading down. Will more come out on this? Was it Russia who was doing the surveillance via, their, I guess, those that were sympathetic to Russia in the Ukraine? Was Russia behind the surveillance of Ambassador Jovanovic? Was Russia behind the surveillance? Was Russia behind the surveillance? Yes, Russia was behind the surveillance of Ambassador Jovanovic. Okay, so strength, a show of strength and endurance, and challenged by the money. This could be Ambassador Jovanovic herself, challenged by the Ace of Pentacles. This is all about, again, coming back to Russia, Russia's gas, Russia's oil supplies, giving Russia the upper hand. We've got the past, the Six of, this is an interesting, the way the cards diverge. We've got the Six of Cups, something going back into the past. The Page of Wands, the communication, the surveillance, hacking into her electronic communications. The Queen of Pentacles. This could also be this was a breach of security here. This could be Ambassador Jovanovic herself. We've got disappointment and also a cup being offered as well. We've got the Nine of Wands and the environment around the Fool, new beginnings. Okay, so getting rid of the ambassador. Now there is a fear that that this will come out in some way. The FBI have already paid a visit to Robert Hyde, and now we have the Five of Cups. This is explosive. We haven't heard the end of this. The High Priestess, something's likely to come forward, and we will receive that information. We're going to hear about it. We've got defense, and we've got retreat, and we've got hope. Okay, so we are going to hear, and here's our big stick again. This is a point in the Parnas communication that's not going to go away. It's probably more shocking than anything else we've heard about the supposedly dirty politicians, is that ambassador was under surveillance. It looks like Russian-driven. And the loose cannon Robert Hyde was taking it further all the time. Now, I feel the surveillance was intended to get any dirt that they could on this ambassador and then use that to get rid of her. Okay, so once that comes out, that's the end. That's the end of Trump. Okay, this is an explosive, moving ball that's just going to gather momentum over the next few weeks. This is the Saturn-Pluto conjunction that I was speaking about. This is the Trump's luck has changed now, because this is just, we're going to hear more and more and more. I'm going to close down this reading and go to Nunes, Barr and Pence, and let's see where they all stand. Thank you.